Good afternoon, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Classic Live Album War. Today we've got two ripping blues rockin' boogie releases from 1977 by two British bands. Okay, we're talking about the staples of the live album scene in the 70s. Foghat Live, it's that one right there. Okay, and Status Quo Live. Whether you say status or status, depending on where you are, okay? Obviously, here in America, we generally say status, but the Brits say status, so that's how I'm going to pronounce it today, Status Quo. Two favorites. Interestingly enough, different opinions on these based on where you're from. So the interesting thing is, despite Foghat obviously being a British band, they were actually much bigger here in the States. This album especially really took off for them. The Fool for the City album, that's really a band that made their mark here on American soil, whereas Status Quo, enormous in their home country and in Europe, kind of unknown here for the most part. You got people who know of them, but 8 out of 10 people you'll run into here in the States who are rock fans will be like, yeah, haven't really heard much from them. One of those enigmas, right? There's plenty of other bands like that. Slade's another one, Magnum's another, bands that, British bands who were pretty big back home, but here just kind of never really took off much. Gillan, another band, right? So Status Quo, another one. But two sizzling live albums, one a double, one a single. One a should have been double, right? Absolutely. That's usually what you hear from most people when they talk about Foghat Live. They're like, oh my God, what a crazy ass great live album that is. But man, why wasn't it a double? Who knows, right? So let's talk about each one, right? So again, both released in 1977. All right, this particular one, this Foghat released August 19th, 1977, recorded at the Dome Arena in Henrietta, New York, May 10th of 1977. Of course, this features the classic Foghat lineup of Lonesome Dave Peverett on rhythm guitar, lead vocals, the incredible Rod Price, lead guitar, slide guitar, backing vocals, Craig McGregor on bass and backing vocals, and of course Roger Earl on drums. All right. Not a lot of tracks on here, like I said. We got 6 in total. Probably should have been double that. But I think we can all agree probably the definitive versions of all of these songs, okay, in the Foghat repertoire. Kicking it off with Fool for the City, rockin'. Okay, bluesy, boogie, sizzling guitar licks from Mr. Price. Home in My Hand, a great blues rock anthem. All right, memorable. Dave Peverett's vocals, just spot on, right? The band just cooking, firing on all cylinders. Then the last track on side 1 of the LP. I just want to make love to you. Foghat just took these like old blues classics, just made them their own. Great lead guitar work from Mr. Price on this tune. Just love this song. It just like, the rhythm's just like pumping and grinding. Great, great track. All right, over on side 2 of the vinyl, we've got Road Fever, the snarling Road Fever. All right, killer version. Okay, that's a Foghat original. And then, quite possibly, the best tune on this album, I don't know, it's the best tune out of a bunch of best tunes, Honey Hush. All right, another old blues classic. Some might say, God, it's identical to Train Kept a Rollin'. Yeah, it pretty much is, but who cares? It's Train Kept a Rollin', like jacked up a notch on steroids, right? Just fast and furious, raging guitar work. All right, man. You cannot understate how amazing the rhythm work is on this track, right? On this whole album. And then to finish it all off on this short but legendary 38-minute long live album, we've got, of course, the extended version of Slow Ride. Take it easy, right? Rod Price's slide work, incredible. I think most people will agree Rod Price was probably one of the greatest slide players in the rock realm of all time, right? Pretty damn close to it. You could throw him and Duane Allman all the way up there, right? Hard to beat those guys. A great sounding album, too. Cranking, full of power, and life and vitality. Man, the mix on this is just like stellar. One of the best sounding raw live albums out there. Just so potent, so powerful. I mean, this band never sounded better than on here. I mean, I like a lot of their studio albums, but man, something about this. And again, we got a couple questions from a bunch of viewers on a couple of these episodes asking, so Pete, if ever you're talking about some of these live albums, and if that live album happens to be your favorite album in general from that band, could you let us know? Well, here you go, right here. All right. This is just, it's stellar. All right. It's just stellar. On the other end of the ring, okay, coming in at 205 pounds, Status Quo, their double live album. All right. I actually had never heard this, nor had bought it, okay, didn't own it, probably till about 10 years ago. Maybe not even 10 years ago. Again, I'm one of those guys, American guy, American kid, had almost no interaction, no knowledge, no way to discover Status Quo back in the day. It's not that I didn't like this type of music, because I did, but man, they got like no exposure over here. There was nobody, when I was growing up, there was no one talking about this band. There was no one playing this band on the radio or anywhere else. I never saw their albums in the stores, nothing. The only time I would ever get any exposure to Status Quo was if I was reading like Kerrang! Magazine or Metal Hammer or something like that in the early mid-'80s, and I would, of course, they'd be all over that because they played every festival in the UK, and they were a big deal over there. But here, not much, man. For a young kid growing up in the mid-late 70s, early mid-'80s, didn't hear a peep about them over here. Too bad, right? As I've discovered them later on, a lot of really good albums and good tunes. A hard-working band, kind of a very predictable band. I think that's one of the reasons why, even though I've gotten into them in recent years, I can't say I've like completely warmed up to them, like in a huge way. I like them. Like I said, I bought a lot of their albums on CD, and I do like dipping into them from time to time. I find their style a little bit samey from album to album, and that's part of the appeal, right? I mean, these kind of boogie bands, right? They find the groove, they just expose it and go all in, and a lot of their songs kind of have that similar flavor, but they're all really good, okay? Again, this is probably my favorite album by Status Quo. Because they're just relentless on this album. The performances are stellar. Okay, and they take most of these very, very solid songs and just kind of kick them up a notch. So what do we have on here? Let's go through the tracks, why don't we? Side 1 kicks everything off with Junior's Wailing, okay, which goes into Backwater and Just Take Me, all right? Track number 3 is one of my favorite Status Quo songs, Is There a Better Way? I love the kind of pacing of that song. It's just so catchy as well. Great rhythm guitars going on there. That's the whole thing about this band is like they just, rhythmically speaking, they were just awesome. Even though you got a lot of kind of, these standard like boogie riffs. But man, they're pumping. And the drums and the bass are just grinding right along. And every now and then you get some crazy ass lead guitar. Vocals are always great, all right? In My Chair follows, that ends side 1. Side 2, you got Little Lady shared with Most of the Time. Okay, and then the extended 4,500 times, all near 17 minutes of it. Quite good. Dig it a lot. Side 3, Roll Over, Lay Down, another anthem from the band. Very catchy on here. They got the crowd singing along and everything. And then Big Fat Mama. Nice and heavy on here. Rocking. These guys, if they really wanted to, were an excellent hard rock band. Okay, some great riffs on there. All right. Ending side 3, you've got their kind of signature track, Caroline, and then Bye Bye Johnny. All right, little play on Chuck Berry there. Caroline's full of hooks. Side 4, another favorite of mine, the Rain song. Not called the Rain song, it's called Rain, right? That's one of my favorite tunes from them. Really, really cool song. Again, catchy, rocking, great stuff. Don't Waste My Time. And then ending off the 2 LP set, you've got their version of Roadhouse Blues, of course, by The Doors. A killer version of Roadhouse Blues, I might add. All right, and just I'll list off the guys in the band. So you got Francis Rossi, guitar and vocals, Rick Parlett, or is it Parfit? How does he say his name? Hold on. Parfit on guitar and vocals, Alan Lancaster on bass and vocals, and John Coughlin on drums. Okay, which you got Andy Brown on keyboards, Bob Young on harmonica. Okay, kind of guesting for this particular show, which was recorded at, hold on, stay with me here. Let's get this information for you. If I can get my mouse to work. Recorded at the Apollo Theatre in Glasgow, Scotland. All right. October 27th through the 29th, 1976. So this is this album is taken from those performances. Kind of took the best of the lot and released this March of 1977. You know, I've said this before, but what's really amazing on a lot of these old live albums from back in the day is that, you know, they would record them 1 month, you know, record the concert or a couple of concerts, put together the live, and within like 2-3 months, you had a live album. It's like, that doesn't work like that anymore, right? It hasn't in many, many years. So, but kind of cool because, you know, if you went to see a band on tour, right, you experienced it, then, you know, in a couple months in the shops, there's an album which basically kind of chronicles that tour that you went to go see. Very, very cool. Unfortunately, that whole concept seems lost on us the last couple decades. So anyway, 2 blues rock and boogie acts here, right? Both excellent at what they do. Both pretty legendary in their own right. 2 legendary albums. I'm going to give you my pick for which one I like better. I'm sure it's going to come to no surprise to many of you that I'm going to go with Foghat Live. That bad boy right there. In fact, here, let's just be nice here and show you a nice close-up of the album in question. All right, that's what we like to do here, and I'll open up this. There we go. That's the Foghat Live one. All right, so that's going to be my pick, and for a number of reasons. One, I've always enjoyed. I really enjoy the music of Foghat a bit better than Status Quo. Like I said, I like Status Quo, but for me, Foghat's more my kind of thing. And I got a lot of history with this. I had this on LP back in the day. Had it on single CD for a while. Then when Foghat started, they started releasing these kind of 2-on-1 album things, remasters and all that kind of stuff. I jumped on this one. So I've actually owned the Foghat Live album on a couple different formats and editions and what have you. I've got a ton of history with it. And it's just such a potent live album in every way. Like, the only negative you can say about it is that it should have been longer, should have been a double. Whereas this, very solid. I know tons of people dig it a lot. I do too. Like I said, it's my favorite Status Quo album. I think it just represents everything that the band were so good at. All right. Unfortunately for me, I can only take that kind of straight up boogie type stuff. You know, I like it. You know, it's just not my favorite type of thing. But, you know, like I said, I have a whole bunch of their albums on CD. I do listen to them from time to time, but generally speaking, when I'm in the mood to listen to Status Quo, I reach for this one, all right, because it's got a lot of the stuff that I really like on it. It's really good, but it just, man, this is your winner right there, folks. Foghat Live for me anyway. That's my preference. So curious to see and hear what you guys think, right? So now, of course, we have that little poll thing here right in the video. You should see a little circle in the upper right-hand corner with a little letter I in lowercase, right? All you got to do is click on that. The poll will appear. You vote for Status Quo, you vote for Foghat, right? And there you go. So we're going to do these as well as the polls on the Facebook page. Hopefully they kind of coincide with each other so I don't have to do double work, but we'll see how it goes. And so that's how we're going to kind of keep track, because I heard loud and clear from a bunch of you that there's quite a few folks here who do not have Facebook accounts. They want nothing to do with Facebook, so they can't go to Facebook to vote there. Even though we've got hundreds and sometimes thousands of people voting on the Facebook polls, we're still not capturing a lot of you who come here to the YouTube channel every day who don't go over there. So now you can vote here as well, right? So this is on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube every day. So leave us your comments. Which album do you prefer, Foghat or Status Quo? 2 great live albums. I'm sure we can all agree that they're both great. It's just a good time to talk about them together. What do you like about them? What don't you like about them? And in the end, put them in the running to see which is everyone's favorite live album of all time. We're going to be working towards that over the next couple of months. So make sure to cast your vote here or Facebook. And We'll get these guys going. We'll start getting through a lot of these over the coming weeks so we can get to round 2, start and put all the winners against each other. So we keep the brackets going till in the end we've got 2 titans going against it for the title of your favorite live album of all time. So who's going to be on that final episode? Who knows? We'll see. I've got my picks. We'll see how it works. So we got lots of good stuff coming up. Coming over very shortly, Mr. Chris Allo is going to be in the house. And here in the studio, we are recording 4 of these Titanic Classic Live Album War shows. Right? So all sorts of good stuff coming up. You like the Scorpions, you like Rainbow, you like Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Motorhead, Saxon. We're going to be talking about all of those great live albums those bands have released. Black Sabbath, Ozzy Osbourne. You're going to see all these. So stay tuned. They're coming up. And lots more stuff. So don't go away. See you real soon. Bye-bye.